Welcome, Lobos. My name is Yudita Trevino. I'm the Senior Financial Aid Counselor here at the Del Rio campus. This is the second week of our Sol Ross Financial Literacy Month. Please make sure to join these presentations for a chance to win scholarship money. We will give a lucky student a $250 scholarship at the end of each week. You have to attend these presentations for the current week to get your name in the hat for that $250 scholarship. If you attend any other of our presentations throughout the month, you will have your name put in the hat for a chance to win the $500 scholarship. So please sign in at your campus and log in online for a chance to win one of these two scholarships. Today's presentation will give you an overview of credit and reasonable and responsible use. So here presenting this presentation will be our guest from Citizens. Please welcome Michelle Enriquez.
And creditors want information on someone's history of repayment of past credit. A credit report is a line-by-line listing called trade lines of current and past credit sent when the credit check is requested. Okay. Credit worthiness is the determination of the likelihood that the loan will be repaid based on someone's history of repaying others. Credit score is a number that is calculated from the information in a credit report that grades them on how they have handled borrowing in the past. It will impact not only their ability to borrow, such as a student loan or credit cards, but it comes into play when buying a car or securing a credit card, applying for a job, refinancing debt later in life, and even renting or buying a home. A credit score, ladies and gentlemen, keep this in mind. A credit score cannot be fixed, okay? It cannot be fixed, okay? It can be improved over time, all right? So for example, like a credit report, it is just like a college transcript, okay? With a list of all the classes taken with the individual grades for each class. The overall GPA would be similar to a credit score, being an indication of how well a student generally did in school. So why does credit score matter? When someone borrows money or borrows something on credit, the way they handle the responsibility of repaying the debt will impact the willingness of other businesses to lend you all money and give you credit, okay? Now, let's take a look here at your credit, okay? So banks and lenders aren't the only ones looking at your credit score, all right? Throughout your life, and especially events like getting your first apartment, turning on the gas or electricity, getting your own cell phone service or purchasing insurance policy, and yes, even landing a job can trigger a credit check. So ladies and gentlemen, when you get ready to move on to, either big corporations or hospitals, even the independent school districts, they do check your credit, okay? So just keep that in mind, all right? So sure, an application to borrow may cause a hard inquiry, okay, that will give all your credit history details and impact your credit score. But even those soft inquiries tell a story about your responsibility with finances, or maybe with the lack of credit history, there'll be no story at all to give to where you need to be, all right? So notice the two differences, hard inquiry and soft inquiry, okay? Soft credit checks isn't visible to companies, but the hard credit checks are. This means that the soft credit checks won't impact your score, all right? Keep that in mind. The soft credit checks won't impact your credit score, okay? No matter how many of them there are. While each hard credit check may lower your score. An example of a soft credit pull would be like searching for your own credit report, or if your company uses a credit report as part of the identity check, okay? A hard check inquiry can happen when you apply for credit card or a student loan, or apply for utilities or a mortgage or a car loan, okay? That's when a hard inquiry happens and it'll show up on your credit report, okay? Now, let's move on to the next slide, okay? With knowledge comes power, but unfortunately, an estimated 76% young adults have never checked their credit score. In fact, they often be surprised that they may already have credit history, but it may not be in good standing, okay? So getting started is an easy way of going, the easiest way to get started, and I place this out on chat, by obtaining an annual credit report.com. Okay, that's in the chat. Take a look at that. Please copy that website there, okay? You can request free copies from the 3 major credit bureau agencies, such as Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You might ask, why all 3? Well, here's the situation. Because each one could have different information based on where the creditor reports their transactions. So let me give you an example. Sometimes, and again, this is just an example, Macy's might just report to Equifax and Experian and not report to TransUnion, okay? Or your car loan might just report to TransUnion, but not report to Equifax and Experian. So that's why you want to pull all 3 within the annualcreditreport.com, okay? All right, so this way you can see, all that information there. Now, some students, such as yourselves, may have heard about lots of apps that are out there, such as Credit Karma, which can be a fun place to look at your scoring. But the best advice is to do your early check through annualcreditreport.com, all right? Now, some of the banking institutions and credit unions also offer a free credit score report, and I would certainly take advantage of that, okay? So it is important to manage your credit and carefully review your credit report, as credit scores influence the ability to finance major life events, such as paying for your college or even a wedding or obtaining a car or obtaining a home. So here's some of the major points. Under federal law, keep that in mind, okay? Once every 12 months, you're entitled to a free copy of your credit report with the major national credit bureau agencies, as I mentioned before, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Again, you can simply just go out to annualcreditreport.com, or you can even call them at 877-322-8228 to obtain a free credit report, okay? I would recommend, even though I indicated once a year, I would really recommend that you pull up an annual credit report every 4 months, just to make sure that everything that you have borrowed, that you're the ones that open that account up, okay? We'll go over identity theft as well as fraud in just a moment. But for right now, just make sure when you pull up your credit report that the information that is listed on the credit report is something that you have opened, okay? That you're the one that opened up those accounts. Now, there could be some errors on there and they can be easily fixed, and you can contact the credit bureau agency in order to get started with that dispute. And you can dispute that credit line there, or what we call trade line. You can dispute that, okay? So the most important thing is that you get the conversation started, right? And not be afraid, of course, of debt, but understand it and prepare for good debt and investments in your future, all right? Now, what is in a credit report? All 3 bureaus have a slightly different format, as I've mentioned before, but will include similar information. It will have a record of where you live, any prior addresses that may be tied to you. The report will also include employment history, bill information, how long your credit accounts have been open, as well as how much you owe. You may also see information that whether or not you've been sued or filed for bankruptcy or even changed your name, okay? You may want to take a look at your report to find any discrepancies. Remember, as I mentioned, make sure that the accounts that are on, meaning the trade lines, those are the ones that you opened up, okay? So you want to make sure that all of that is under your name. And if you find anything that does not line up with your records, be sure to report it to the Bureau, meaning the credit bureau agencies. For example, I have a friend of mine who had a pretty common name, and one day he checked his credit report and noticed that some accounts didn't belong to him. After doing some research and disputing these accounts, he realized that somebody with the exact same name was mistakenly adding to his credit report. The situation was not malice, but a simple mistake. This is why you always want to check your credit reports, okay? Especially from the 3 credit bureau agencies, all right? Now, here's a scale of credit score averages. These averages help to make sense of how particular the number translates to the common classifications like poor, good, and excellent, okay? Credit scores needed for approval of an application will vary by lender or any type of credit product of which is being applied for. A borrower with a score of 720 applying for a loan secured by collateral like a car or home may be considered to have excellent credit, while the same borrower applying for an unsecured loan like a student loan or even a credit card, to be honest with you, be considered a good credit, but poses more risk, okay? While the average national credit score is 716, it's no surprise that young adults have a lower average of 674, typically because they just don't have the time to build up their credit, okay? But the takeaway is the higher the score, the lower the risk, the more loan terms they can offer you, all right? Okay. So we're going to cover now what determines a credit score, okay? And here are some of the components that is tied to the FICO score, which is also the credit score, okay? Keep in mind that the FICO is simply a brand name that most lenders use, but others may use a custom score, all right? But in generality, everybody probably uses a FICO score, which is your credit score, okay? So the first one we're going to take a look at is payment history, okay? Is responsible for 35% of the FICO credit score. While it's important to determine by on-time payments, it can also include like the length of late payments, the amount that was owed at the time, and bankruptcies. Make one late payment over 30 days can drag your credit score down as much as 90 points and show up on the report for 7 years, okay? So quite simply, make at least the minimum payments on time is the best way to boost a credit score. One way to make a minimum payments is using like the automatic payment, like in other words, ACH or automatic, I guess you could say automatic deduction from your payroll. I mean, not payroll, I apologize, from your checking, okay? That way, those payments are made on time, okay? All right. Now, the next one is 30% of the score is influenced by credit utilization, and it's determined by the total debt compared to how much credit you have available. This includes the number of counts, the amount on each one, the percentage of an open credit line in use, and how much is still owed on the installment loans, okay? Now, industry, experts advise to keep balances lower than 30% of the total amount of the available credit. In simpler words, let's say for every $1,000 of credit line or limit, avoid using more than $300, okay? If that's possible. All right, now let's go on to, let's see here. Let's get this one up here. Okay. I'll cover the 15 in just a moment, but let's go ahead and take a look at the 10% here. The amount on the new credit determines 10% of the FICO score. Factors that can play into this area are positive credit information on recovering credit report. In other words, actively using credit cards, making timely payments on the account, and of course, avoid making any late payments whatsoever. All right. And the next item here is how many and what accounts have been opened in the last six to 12 months, and how many credit inquiries have been made recently. okay? Now, the length, which is the 15%, the length, okay, right away it says here, the length of the credit, okay, history, all right, it's how long the accounts have been open. How long has it been since the account was used? And this is why it's important to utilize the account regularly, keeping your oldest account open to show the length of the history in use, all right? Let me see if I've got another one. Yes, 10% of the score is considered a mix or variety of credit accounts, such as a revolving lines like credit cards, retail card stores. In other words, the retail stores, you have credit cards there as well. Installment loans like car and student loans, finance companies, and mortgage loans. Overall, creditors want to see a healthy balance with the reputable institutions, okay? So just keep in mind these percentages here, all right? Okay, types of credit, okay? When we're talking about credit mix, just a moment ago, we said that there's two basic categories of consumer credit, revolving credit and installment credit. So revolving credit can be used repeatedly for purchases that will be paid back monthly through paying the full amount due every month is not required, okay? The most common of revolving credit are credit cards. Now, installment credit is used to finance a specific purpose for a specific period of time. Consumers are required to follow a regular payment schedule, usually monthly, that includes interest charges until the principal is paid off. So common examples are student loans, car loans, education refinance loans, as well as mortgages. The interest rate for installment loans varies by lender, and it's tied closely to the consumer credit score, okay? Now, all right, let's take a look at this example, okay? We have two students here. They both attended the same school, the same degree at the same time. They both took out loans with the same lender for $15K with a 10-year repayment period and choose to defer their payments while in school. The only difference is that one of them had a cosigner with the 780 credit score, and the other one had a 660 credit score, a difference of 120 points. You can see here that the student to the left will pay over $11,000 more for this very same education. And that's just for 1 year. If they stay on the same track over the next 4 years, the difference will be as high as nearly $22,000. All right, students? So keep this in mind, right? In terms of your credit score, okay? Keep this in mind, all right? Now, here I'm just giving you a slight example on paying off your credit cards, right? Or credit card, this one in particular. Now, we're assuming that the variable interest rate on this one in particular is 16 to 24%, depending on the types of charges that have been made, all right? So here's just a mere example. So currently the credit card balance is at $1,700, right, and 15. And the minimum payment only being made on this account is $18, and it's due on the 21st, right? Okay. So as you can see, if you only make the mere minimum payment, it'll take you 12 years to pay that off. And you've accrued interest with that lender up to basically paid them an additional $969.76. All right. Now, if you increase the payment to $55, you actually pay it off in 3 years. You actually are saving right there $708 that you didn't have to give to the lender with, the extra finance charges and what have you that goes with a credit card. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. Keep that in mind. Okay, now I want to cover a little bit about identity fraud and identity theft, okay? While you're checking your reports, credit reports for any errors, be sure you recognize all accounts you listed, okay, that are listed on the report, okay? Make sure. Fraud and identity theft have unfortunately become more and more common. Careless disposal of personal information, falling victim to scams, and using insecure internet sites are major contributors, okay? Identity thieves, okay, use your information to open credit accounts in your name. And then when you don't pay the bills, the delinquent account is reported to the credit report, right? Avoiding identity theft is a lot easier than trying to repair the damage. Victims of identity theft are responsible for providing the accounts, or proving that the accounts were open and they don't belong to you, okay? And this process can take up years to clean up and protect. By all means, protect your personal information by being extremely cautious about whom you share your information with. Now, fraud is a different thing. This is when someone uses legit accounts belonging to you without your knowledge. If this happens, you will need to dispute the fraud charges with the lender. Now, for example, especially the credit bureau agencies, okay? So you're going to dispute it with the lender, whoever you open the account with, and with the credit bureau agencies. Here's some of the little tips. TransUnion and Equifax have their own process for disputing credit reports, but Experian provides three methods of submitting disputes. They want you to do it online, or by phone, or by mail. Once the dispute process is complete, any changes to your credit report could lead to changes in your credit score, okay? Dispute this all, but most credit cards come with fraud protection. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do this. Also set up an alert on your cell phone that if you might have the credit card in your possession, but somehow or another that information was hacked or obtained, without you knowing it. Make sure you set up an alert, because this way you can instantly respond to your lender and let them know that it's not you that was doing a charge. I'll give you an example that happened to me. I travel quite a bit from Austin to El Paso. My hometown is El Paso, but nevertheless, I stopped at one of the convenience stores, and we always want to be protective of our credit card when we're going to get gas. Somehow or another, I am not even sure. I even checked the gas pump to make sure, and where you put your credit card to make sure it's not a bogus, one of those scammers where they scam to, get your information. And it looked legit. I mean, it literally did. Everything looked very, very legit and what have you. And it was a reputable convenience store as well. But I'm assuming that there's where my information was taken. So unfortunately, fortunately for me, I set up I've always had alerts on my cell phone. So I received an alert within minutes, and I was already on Interstate 10, right? When I said, wait a minute, I didn't purchase $100 worth of gas. I only purchased 50. So of course, I contacted my credit card agency and let them know that that was not me, and evidently somebody must have taken my information, and skimmed it and somehow took it. So we were able to dispute that charge, which was good because I had an alert set up right away. So students, I encourage you to set up alerts, especially for your bank accounts as well, okay, as bank accounts. So always be aware of that, okay? Now, and always check, if you can, check even though you make your monthly payments online, which a lot of us do, check your statement online. Make sure that nothing has been charged. Nothing's been charged to you, okay? That came from somebody else, right? Okay. I also had an incident that happened to me. 10 laptops were purchased. And again, I don't use Amazon online. I don't use anything online just for that mere reason. And somehow they obtained my credit card information, and we put a lockdown. And again, I received an alert right away. And I said, wait a minute, a purchase for Microsoft laptops in Oregon, Washington. I was like, what? What's going on here? So right away, I called my bank and let them know. I called my credit card and let them know. And they right away shut everything down and gave me a new card. And then we disputed everything. So that was a good thing. In my favor, my credit card agency was helping me with that as well. So make sure you keep your credit card, information secure, and anything that has credited, anything, make sure that it's secure, that no one else has access to that. Okay. Okay. So here is common ways thieves commit identity theft. All right. So let's talk about a few ways on here. Okay. I know it's easy to think that this will never happen to you. As I shared, it happened to me. But in reality, it's a blank slate for no credit is just as sought after as an already established credit, and it can happen to you. So one way to secretly divert mail to criminals to address is gather your personal and financial data and make sure that this information is not accessible to them. Okay. So make sure, like especially if you're moving from an apartment to another apartment or moving to a new home and you have a previous address, you want to set that up right away with the post office to make sure that it gets changed right away, okay? But I think most of us do online, payments and stuff like that, but just in case, okay? Another one is, your website, right? So public Wi-Fi, social media. Some of us want to buy those latest and phase, protein drinks or latest creams, or that's a neat purse, or that's a neat wallet or clothing. Again, somebody's out there hacking away, wanting to get that information. Now, students, I know that you probably are at the food court or, your favorite lunch place or dinner place or what have you. Again, somebody can, if you pull up your laptop and you're doing something online, somebody can, be shoulder surfing and look over your shoulder, okay? And theft, unfortunately, somebody just steal your wallet or purse right off the bat. That's sad. But at the same token, dumpster diving. If you don't believe me on this one, I have seen it myself. I have seen folks pull out trash and take the time to pull bills together and just to get information from you in case you do receive paper bills, just in case you do. Or let's say you receive a credit card offer, right? Or a loan offer, and you say, oh, it's not for me. And you just tear it halfway and throw it away in the trash. Well, guess what? There is somebody taking the time to put that together to steal your information from you. And remember, they just need an address. And I know you're saying, wait a minute, how would they get my social security? There's ways, and it's unfortunate. So be very careful. Now, phishing, this is a big issue as well with emails. Okay, so let me get to this next slide to share with you about phishing. All right. Now, Sula Ross will always put, .edu at the end of their emails to you. So you know that it's legit coming from them, okay? EDU is strictly for education universities as well as colleges and community colleges. But let me give you the example here. As you can see right next to Lee University at the very top, do you see that, students, very, very top? You'll see DRH at UC.PT. Now, if you see something bogus like this, do not click on the link, because if you'll notice the link, http://www4lee.lee at .edu, right there, red flag, red flag. That should just tell you, oh, no. If you click on it, ladies and gentlemen, you have allowed the hacker to get into your laptop, computer, cell phone as well. You've allowed them to access your information. And that's a bad thing, because here you go trying to clean it all up with the credit bureau agencies, as well as the lender who obtained that information from you and probably purchased, like in my case, 10 laptops or something like that. So you want to be cautious of emails, and it doesn't matter whether it's from a university. I just recently, here we go again, back to me again, recently received a Microsoft, please update your Microsoft Windows, it is due, and I noticed the email address literally was somewhere, and I don't mean to, say this, but it was in a foreign country. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, okay, so delete. I never opened it up, okay, so just as an FYI. All right, so guard yourself against identity theft. As you can see, I'm a very big proponent about protecting our information. As a matter of fact, at the gas stations now, I pay cash because I just don't trust the credit cards anymore. So isn't that sad that I carry a little bit cash just because of that? So anyway, now that we talked about identity theft and how it can occur, let's talk about how you can protect yourself. Like we have mentioned throughout today's session, is always to be sure to monitor your credit report. It's free and it's an easy way to stay on top of your credit. One way to guard your physical information is to invest in a shredder. I think around the university there, they probably have shredder bins. I encourage you to drop off stuff in those shredder bins, okay? And shred any personal information or documentation before tossing it in a recycle bin. You never want to toss anything in a recycle bin or your home trash either, okay? Never. In terms of personal data information, especially credit card offers. Hey, listen, and even insurance offers. If you get an insurance offer saying, come join us with us and what have you, no. Throw it in a shredder, because again, that's personal information, your address is on there. You don't want that to go into the regular trash, okay? Now, keep in mind what's in your wallet. Here we go again. What's in your wallet, right? That famous commercial that's out there. So, of course, carrying around your license and credit cards makes sense, but maybe consider living and always leave this behind. Never carry your social security card or your passport, okay? No, all right, because it could be, you could lose it, you know, and then somebody obtains that vital information, okay? And always keep duplicate copies of important documentation with the chance that something could happen. So for example, I do travel quite a bit. I make copies of, you know, my only 2 credit cards. Well, one is my corporate and the other one is, you know, personal. And I copy my driver's license as well. And I leave it here at home. I make a copy so that in case my purse or wallet gets stolen, I'm able to call my husband and he knows exactly where it's stored and he's able to give me the information so that I can contact the 2 credit cards as well as, well, the driver's license. I'm kind of, you know, stuck on that one, but at least I have something to call back and let them know that my wallet was stolen, what have you. But anyway, so just wanted to share that with you. Now, you can also consider a lock or a freeze, okay? A credit freeze, okay? A credit lock is not governed by the federal law. It's easy access to unlock quickly at any time. It's free with TransUnion and Equifax. However, there could be a monthly cost and a waiver requirement that Experian. With Experian, they might charge you with Experian. So whereas TransUnion and Equifax, it's free, which is the credit lock is free, okay? And Experian does charge you. Okay, so just keep that one in mind. All right. Now, credit freeze is totally different, right? So this one is governed by the federal law. Okay, it thaws, in other words, once you place the freeze with the credit bureau agencies, okay, and you want to purchase a home, hypothetically, let's say that, you would have to unfreeze. So it means a thawing period. So it needs to unthaw, with the credit bureau agency so that the lender can do an inquiry into your credit report, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? Now, it's recommended if you have information that has ever been compromised to do a freeze. And I have been compromised, so let me tell you, I do have a freeze on all my credit bureau agencies just because of what's happened to me here lately, believe it or not, okay? All right, now, let's go on really quickly here. Building credit. Okay, so we want to just go ahead and let's remember the importance, of course, the story of financial responsibility, to tell a lender, employer, even insurance company, which is in reference to your credit reports. Okay, all right. It pays not entirely to shun away from debt, but find healthy ways to build your credit history and can set you up for success. It's a key to start early and build slowly. Let's look at some ways that you can do that. Using a qualified cosigner for installment loans like a student loan or a car loan can help you out to get that approved, all right? And potentially get a better rate, especially the interest rate, okay? And have a partner that is responsible, right? So your cosigner is also responsible for whatever you have both signed up for, okay? Think back, to the slide, of course, in terms of cosigners, they definitely will help you out. I mean, I'm hoping that they can help you out, right? In trying to obtain any type of a loan and help with a better rate as well, okay? And then also here, like, I would say securing a credit card with a reputable creditor, using it for regular purchases, paying, the balance off each month. Don't let it carry over, okay, if you can. And that, that can quickly get you in a revolving credit history started on that, okay? Or get a secure credit card backed by cash deposit to make upfront, any upfront matches on that, okay? With the line of credit. I certainly would encourage going to a credit union because they have really good rates in terms of, credit cards are concerned, okay? If you're not eligible for any of these cards at all, maybe a family member can help you so that you can start establishing credit. And again, it's back to that cosigner where they can be willing to add you as an authorized user on their credit card. But again, whatever purchases you've made, you got to make sure you make that payment so that you don't place that cosigner that helped you out as an authorized user, put them in jeopardy. So whatever you charge, you also want to pay as well, okay? So do note that this impacts positively and negatively based on your primary use, okay, of these credit cards or any line of credit that you might open. Finally, it comes back to the credit report. I encourage you to monitor your credit report. Be aware and watch for any discrepancies that can, and of course, you can avoid any issues that comes up. Seeing positive movement can engage and then build your confidence in, establishing credit. All right. Now, students, I'm almost coming to the end of my presentation. I wanted to check and see if there's any questions that you might have. Okay. All right. I see at the moment that there's no questions being asked. Okay.
Actually, I do, Michelle. Can you hear me?
I sure can, yes.
Okay, it's me, Alicia. So, my bank always updates my credit score at the end of the month. And so I'm always afraid to click on it because I'm afraid it's going to do a hard credit pull. Do you know if those types are hard or soft pulls?
They're soft inquiries from your part. So it does not impact your credit score whatsoever.
Okay, perfect.
So so go ahead and take a look. Yeah, definitely. You certainly want to take a look at the ranges, right? As to where you're at.
Right.
So I definitely would encourage you to take a look at that. Let me go back to that slide just to show you, just to see where you all are at. Like, here, this. So when you click on your credit score, you'll see where you fit in here. But I'm almost sure you're excellent, but nevertheless, you can see the ranges right here. 800 to 850 is excellent. 740 to 779 is very good. 670 to 739 is good. Fair 580 to 669, and poor is 300 to 579. Now, most students will probably fall under the good and fair if they don't have enough credit established. Okay.
Okay. And now when they do a hard pull, how much does it decrease by how many points?
So on a hard pull, the only way the hard pull happens is if they apply for like a car loan or a mortgage or, a credit card. Maybe the credit card company is wanting to see the history on that. So normally it's 90 points that will be pulled down if they do a hardcore inquiry. Okay.
Oh, wow. Does it matter if it's like approved or denied?
It does not.
Okay. It's going to pull it anyway. Okay.
Correct. Yes, exactly right. Correct. Yeah. So I've got the slide up for hardcore hard inquiry and soft inquiry. And you can see when you're applying for credit, such as a credit card, auto, student loan, mortgage, etc., these types of inquiries require your permission, typically affect your credit score for 2 years. So keep that in mind.
Okay. And so do you have any advice for students that want to establish credit but don't want to get credit cards?
The only one that I'm familiar with is basically it's so unfortunate, right? Right now, to be honest with you, all your students are establishing credit by if they have to obtain a federal loan. So they've already, if any student has taken out a federal loan, which we call student loans, they've already started their establishment of credit. Okay. The key factor there is to make the timely payments when it comes time for them to make payments on that. So they've already are establishing credit. Okay. Even if they didn't want to get a credit card, guess what? They've already started establishing credit by merely taking out that federal loan. Does that help?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. And if for those that don't take out a loan, then how would they establish credit?
Okay.
Like if they don't use educational loans.
Okay, if they don't use educational loans, and let's say hypothetically their parents have a credit card, okay, and they can allow them to be a authorized user, as I mentioned before, they can piggyback, that's the wording that I'm going to use, off of their parents' credit card, but for whatever purchases, because the parent is going to supply the Social Security number to the credit card company, okay, and they can piggyback off of that credit card and be able to make small purchases to establish credit in that regards, okay? But whatever they purchase or whatever they purchase, they want to make sure they make that timely payment and not put the parent in jeopardy either, okay? So they've got to make a payment as well. Okay, so
Okay.
both parent and student, they're establishing good credit as they go along by making their monthly payments on time and preferably paying off the whatever the student charged, you know, pay it off at the end of the month, right? For that, okay?
Right. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? I don't see anything else on chat. But I did put in chat, the ladies and gentlemen, is the annualcreditreport.com website. And again, it will pull up the 3 credit bureau agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I encourage you to pull up your credit report. Make sure any trade lines that were opened up, they were opened up by you. And what I mean by trade lines is any credit that you opened up, okay? Now, when you pull your credit report, you will probably see your federal loan listed out there, okay? Any questions? I hope this was helpful.
Yes, ma'am, it was. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, definitely if any come up afterwards, please send them to me and I'll be glad to give you a response back for sure on that. Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
No, you're welcome. Absolutely. You all
I
have a
learned a
great
lot.
afternoon. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good. I wish you the best. All right. Good luck and much success.
Okay, thank
to you all.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You're welcome. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.